Breaking news now from Blue Eye Media. And now from our global friendly partners.
We know that Donald Trump is obsessed with nuclear weapons. Donald Trump has spent years fantasizing about the most destructive weapons that humans have ever created. And now, with this growing situation in Iran, weakened international safeguards, the US running out of munitions in Iran, and virtually unchecked presidential authority, one former Trump administration official is warning that Donald Trump may be a single mood swing away from launching nuclear weapons if he gets away with it. Miles Taylor served as senior Homeland Security official during Donald Trump's first term. You might remember him. And he says that Donald Trump then would openly fantasize with advisors about blowing stuff up. Often enough that the defense secretary, James Mattis, would instruct officials, this is Trump's first term, prepare contingency plans for the possibility of a nuclear strike on American soil. Now, that does not mean Trump is preparing to launch a nuclear weapon tomorrow. There is no reporting at this time establishing that. The underlying danger is very real because the American system gives the president huge unilateral authority over nuclear weapons. There is no required congressional vote. There is no Supreme Court review. Military officials must refuse illegal orders, but they can't simply veto a lawful nuclear strike because they think the president is reckless or because they believe the president is acting impulsively. And Trump is once again boasting that he came close to ordering what he called a massive attack on Iran. This follows the deranged proclamation from earlier in the Iran war that a whole civilization will die tonight, which are not the words of someone who's a careful strategist who really understands nuclear rhetoric has to be handled with massive discipline. And they sound like a man intoxicated by the spectacle of destroying stuff and by the idea that he has so much power that he could order it and make it so himself. And Trump has even repeatedly called nuclear weapons the N-word, sort of like, you don't say the N-word, which is the derogatory term about black people, and you're just as careful when we talk about nuclear. It's so volatile, we just call it the N-word. By the way, think about how bizarre that is. He takes a weapon capable of ending human civilization and turns it into this basically a verbal prop, a forbidden word he gets to tease people with. Oh, the N-word. He talks about nuclear war with the sort of vocabulary and mentality of a reality TV host, which of course he is, building suspense for the next segment. And Miles Taylor's theory is Trump is always looking for what's the most powerful thing I can do. I want the biggest executive order, the largest military parade, the most dramatic attack, the most terrifying threat. And nuclear weapons are the ultimate version of that fantasy. Trump is not emotionally stable. He has a very limited attention span. He doesn't read. He doesn't respect human life, all things that should accompany the authority and the ability and the power to launch nuclear weapons. And we have watched him threaten countries on social media and confuse diplomacy with I'm going to dominate you and treat war like a TV show. And now add the administration's new nuclear energy agreement with Saudi Arabia, which according to Taylor, the deal omits the typical safeguards that you would have, which allow, international inspectors to have access to nuclear sites and all of this different stuff. So Trump is escalating the nuclear rhetoric. He's weakening safeguards. He's more disinhibited than he ever has been cognitively and encouraging proliferation. Most presidents talk about undoing the proliferation, denuclearizing. And Trump is like, let's throw more weapons in the direction of one of the most unstable regions on this planet. Now, if Trump ever issued an illegal nuclear order, I hope patriotic military officers would make the decision to refuse it. Am I being naive? If officials believed that the president had become mentally incapable of safely exercising his authority, every lawful mechanism, including the 25th Amendment, should be activated with no delay to terminate Trump's command authority. Because once a nuclear weapon is launched, there is no correction or apology. And one of the things about a lot of the way the nuclear triad is sort of set up, I recently read a book only about nuclear nuclear and nuclear, it was both actually, is that we have a lot of these weapons that when launched, they cannot be recalled. And when we launch weapons that cannot be recalled, if you realize you made a mistake or you change your mind, other countries are incentivized also to do exactly what they're doing, which is to keep their weapons pointed at the United States without the ability to be recalled. It gets very ugly, is the point I'm trying to make. These are civilization-altering weapons capable of killing hundreds of thousands of people almost instantly, poisoning generations, and triggering the sort of retaliation that could end modern society. I don't know that there has ever been a stronger argument for requiring more authorization before one person can initiate a nuclear war. And right now, that one guy is Donald Trump with very weak guardrails. And remember, Trump, over the last decade that he's been a political figure, has said to aides and staffers everything from, why can't we bomb Europe? What about bombing Mexico? What about it? It is a guy who does not have the capacity, nor the knowledge, nor the temperament for what it should take to be president of the United States. We did fail a national IQ test, and we have tens of millions of people who voted for him 3 times. I wish it were different, but it's what it is. And so I hope that if that moment comes, we have a military who's ready to say, hey, this is not something that we can do right now.
Follow Blue Eye Media for exclusive insights and breaking news sources from global-friendly outlets that you'll never get from the mainstream cable TV and antenna radio or satellite outlets. Learn how to play the flute of the world and learn the real facts.